Have you ever wondered why we feel a strange mix of excitement and deep fear when we talk about the future of artificial intelligence? It is like being invited to ride an incredibly fast train that has no windows and a driver we cannot see. We know the train is moving at a speed that could take us to amazing new places, but we cannot help but worry about who is actually pulling the levers. Most of us go through our days using smart tools that suggest what we should buy or how we should finish our sentences. We treat these tools like magic because for most of us that is exactly what they feel like. We press a button and an answer appears. We ask a question and a story is written. But beneath the surface of these helpful apps there is a growing concern that we are building something so complex that we have lost the ability to explain how it works. We are creating what experts call black boxes. These are systems where information goes in and a result comes out, but the path between the two is a total mystery. This creates a massive problem for the people who try to make rules and laws to keep us safe. How can you regulate a machine when even the person who built it cannot tell you exactly why it made a specific choice? We are living in a moment where the fear of a machine going rogue or causing a global crisis is not just a movie plot but a serious topic of discussion among the brightest minds on the planet. We are going to explore a different path that could change everything. We will look at how we can move away from these mysterious black boxes and towards something called white box systems. This is a journey from confusion to clarity and from fear to a calm sense of control. We will see how using a different kind of mathematics can help us build a superintelligence that is not a threat but a partner. Imagine a world where we can use these machines to solve the biggest conflicts between nations or to discover new laws of physics that we cannot even imagine yet. The potential is massive, but the key to unlocking it is visibility. On the surface, we believe that the more powerful a computer becomes, the harder it must be to understand. The surface concept here is that complexity is the price we must pay for intelligence. We look at the giant networks of current technology and we assume that they must be messy and unreadable because they are trying to mimic the human brain. We think that if a system can translate a language or recognize a face, it must be doing something so deep that simple math cannot explain it. On the surface, it seems like we have to choose between a dumb machine we can control or a smart machine that we cannot. This surface view makes us feel like we are just waiting for a disaster to happen. We see news stories about systems making biased decisions or hallucinating facts, and we think this is just how high-tech works. We assume that regulation is impossible because the technology moves too fast for our slow human laws. This surface level of thinking keeps us in a state of anxiety where we just hope for the best while preparing for the worst. It prevents us from asking if there is a fundamental flaw in the way we are designing these brains. Behind this surface view of a mysterious brain lies a hidden assumption that all intelligent systems must be built like a dark maze. We often assume that the only way to get a machine to learn is to give it billions of tiny connections that are too numerous to count or track. But the hidden truth is that we can use different mathematical structures that are fundamentally understandable. We assume that scaling up a technology always means making it more dangerous. The hidden reality is that if you understand the core mechanism of a system, it does not matter how big it gets. You will always have the tools to pinpoint which part is responsible for what. We assume that artificial intelligence is a technology that exists in a vacuum away from the rules of logic. However, the hidden truth is that at the end of the day it is all just math. If we use the right kind of math, we can create white box systems. These are systems that provide total visibility into their working mechanisms. We assume that we have to be afraid of a technology that is better than all of humanity combined. But the hidden reality is that superintelligence can be the greatest gift we have ever received if we have the visibility to guide it. This leads us to a structural pattern of how we have built our current world. We see a pattern where we often prioritize speed and results over safety and understanding. This is a structural habit in our industries. We build the car and then we think about the brakes. We build the internet and then we think about privacy. This structural pattern of move fast and break things has worked for simple tools, but it is a dangerous pattern for a technology that could solve the economy or settle humanitarian conflicts. Another structural pattern is our reliance on black box models in many areas of life, not just computers. We have built complex financial systems and legal systems that even the experts struggle to explain. This creates a structure where power is hidden and accountability is hard to find. When we apply this same pattern to superintelligence, we create a structure where the machine could go rogue simply because no one knows how to tell it to stop in a way that the machine understands. By recognizing these patterns, we can see that we have a choice in how we build the architecture of our future. We can reframe our entire perspective by realizing that control does not mean holding the technology back. Instead, we can reframe control as a form of deep understanding. Reframing the problem means seeing that the fear of a doomsday scenario is actually a fear of our own ignorance. We can reframe the goal of creating a superintelligence as a search for a perfect partner in math and science. Imagine a system that can take the equations of famous scientists like Einstein or Maxwell and use them to discover entirely new physics. This reframing turns the machine from a potential master into a powerful telescope for the human mind. We can reframe regulation as a technical task rather than just a political one. If we have white box systems, we can prove that a machine will behave a certain way. This perspective shift takes the mystery out of the technology and replaces it with a calm sense of possibility. It allows us to dream about solving global poverty or ending wars because we finally have a tool that can handle the complexity without becoming part of the problem. Applying this to our daily life starts with how we interact with the technology we already have. You can apply the idea of the white box by asking for transparency in the tools you use. Just as we look at the ingredients on a box of food, we should start to look at the logic behind the apps that influence our choices. You can apply the principle of understanding by realizing that you do not have to be a computer scientist to demand accountability. In your own work, you can apply the pattern of building systems that are understandable rather than just fast. Whether you are managing a team or a small project, ask yourself if someone else could look at your process and pinpoint why things are happening the way they are. This is a practice of creating visibility in a world that often feels like a black box. You can apply the mindset of the superintelligence gift by thinking about the biggest problems you face and asking what kind of clear logical help you would need to solve them. By practicing this kind of clear thinking, we prepare ourselves to live in a world where we work alongside systems that are much smarter than us. We are moving from a time of blind faith in machines to a time of informed partnership. It is helpful to consider that the first time we meet a technology that is more capable than us, we need to be ready to lead it. This is not about being a rigid lecturer, but about being a grounded and supportive human who knows how to use a tool. The potential benefits are truly massive. If we can use math to understand the economy, we could find ways to distribute resources so that no one is left behind. If we can use intelligence to understand human behavior, we might finally find the math of peace. This is the first time in history we have a chance to build something that is not just an extension of our muscles but an extension of our wisdom. We have to be careful to stay in the driving seat, but that is only possible if we can see through the windshield. The journey ahead is long and it can feel scary, but the shift from black boxes to liquid white boxes is the light we need. We are building the most important tool in human history, and we deserve to know how it works. When we have that visibility, we can finally stop worrying about the train and start enjoying the incredible journey. We are not just passengers anymore, we are the architects of a superintelligent world that values clarity over confusion. This clarity is what will allow us to stay human in a world shared with machines. If you were given a machine today that could solve any global conflict but it could not explain to you why its solution worked, would you trust it to change the world, or would you wait until you could see the math for yourself?